Hello everyone, Time to Grind here, and today I wanted to talk about Fallout 76's microtransactions. And I know a lot of people are probably wondering, well, the pre-order beta started, why aren't you playing it and reviewing it and making a video about it instead of just talking about the payment model? And I got two good reasons for you. First of all, even if I wanted to, the PC beta has had this huge bug where it just deleted all of the game files for a lot of players. So if I still wanted to make the video come out on Wednesday, on time like I normally like it to be, I don't really have time to re-download the entire thing and then play the game enough to actually get an educated opinion and then make a video on it. And second of all, it's just one of those things where Fallout 76 I know is not for me at all. I've never really been that big of a fan of Fallout games. I found some enjoyment here and there with them, but they've never really been my cup of tea. And then also I really do not like those type of survival multiplayer games. So it's kind of just, if I made a review for it, I know exactly how it would go. It would be like, well, I can't really fully review this because these aren't my type of games, so obviously I'm not enjoying this game, but I might not be enjoying it, not because that the game is bad, but because I just don't like those type of games. But I know a lot of people that actually enjoy these type of games are having a lot of opinions on it, and you know, from what I've seen so far, there's a lot of mixed reviews and feelings about it. But there's a lot better people to watch for a review like that, rather than me force myself to make a review where I already kind of know what it would be like. And instead of doing that, I think it would be more useful to talk about the way Bethesda has been acting in response to it having microtransactions. So, long story short, Fallout 76, their lead boss, Pete Hines, talked about how microtransactions are used in the game, and they insisted that it's not pay to win. And this isn't a exposed piece. It's not like I found some hidden pay to win mechanic in the game or anything like that. I just wanted to talk about Bethesda's overall attitude toward microtransactions and want to poke fun at a couple arguments they've had. So, Fallout 76, like a lot of other multiplayer games, will not have season passes or DLC packs or anything like a lot of new recent multiplayer games like Overwatch or Battlefield 5 or stuff like that. Instead, it's just going to focus on microtransactions, and I don't really blame them, especially considering how much microtransactions actually make. I mean, you look at the sales for Overwatch's loot boxes, and it's ridiculous how much money they make off of microtransactions. And I know there's this argument out there that a lot of people that are a lot more skeptical than I am about game development always bring up, and it's, well, the overall sales of the game, they make so much money off of the first, sales. They should use that money to fund the future development of the game for years and years and years and years. And although they do make enough money, and they could do that if they wanted to, it doesn't really make sense why a company would use money that they've already made and is not going to go away, and in good faith just keep investing it in the future of the game when there's not much more money to be made. Whereas if you have microtransactions, there's kind of an incentive to update the game, because the more you update it, the more likely people will spend on microtransactions. And they've talked about how Fallout 76's microtransactions are just cosmetic only. There's no loot boxes or anything like that, which is good. I'm not going to praise them for not having loot boxes because it should be expected, but it is kind of nice. But the first quote I wanted to read was, "If you don't want to spend money in the atomic shop for cosmetic stuff, you don't have to. We give you a shitload of atoms just for playing the game. Folks that want to spend money on whatever the hell it is because they don't have enough atoms, they can, but it's not, I'm now better playing against other players because I spent money. It's not pay to win. It's not loot crates." And like I said, this isn't kind of some trick thing. There aren't any hidden pay to win things, and there's not loot crates. But I really don't like the argument of, well, we give you so many atoms, you don't really need to spend money on it if you don't want to, because the whole point of these microtransactions being in the game are to make as much money possible. Not only to fund future development, but make the shareholders happy, like always. So the argument that, well, we're going to give you so many atoms that you're not even going to feel inclined to spend money on stuff in the atom shop, but if you want to, you could, just for the hell of it. It's not this wholesome thing. They're not going to give you so many atoms where you literally do not feel like spending money in the atom shop. I guarantee you that. I would bet anything I own on that, because I've seen this argument time and time again where they have a mechanic where they can drip feed you the premium currency, whether it is through challenges or daily dailies or anything like that, or just you slowly earn them but at a ridiculously slow rate, you haven't really seen what Fallout or Bethesda has been doing with these kind of paid mod things like the Creation Club, I'd like to bring this up because from the overall experience I've seen is if you pre-order the game, you get about 500 atoms. We don't know how much it will cost to actually buy more atoms, but we know for pre-ordering, you'll get about 500. And from what I've heard is people are able to buy around 2 to 3 items, so maybe 2 baseball caps and a Pip-Boy hat or something like that. And so that's about saying 2 to 3 just base cosmetic items per 500, and we don't know how much 500 is going to cost. It could cost $50, it could cost $20, but they're track record of how expensive these things are is ridiculous, because if you look at the Creation Club, which is just paid mods for Skyrim and Fallout, even though they try to say it's not paid mods, but it's just paid mods, you would spend $5, $10 and you would get practically nothing. You'd maybe get 2 or 3 skins and they would all look lackluster, and there isn't really any actual good content in the Creation Club. And then you have stuff where you look even further past that, and on PC they tried to do a whole paid mod things with Valve and have this huge thing where mod creators could charge money for their mods, and it was just this huge backlash that they had to dial back. So the bottom line is they kind of have a bad track record of having things cost way more than what it's supposed to. So they could be giving you a lot of atoms, but in reality, that's not equating to much. The whole system's just kind of inflated because a weapon skin or something costs way more than what it actually should, and it's just offset by them giving you atoms, and the whole system's just inflated. So just the biggest thing is they're not going to make a system, they're not going to have microtransactions in their game if they're not trying to make money. They're not going to give you so many atoms where you do not feel inclined to buy things from the store. That's just that, period. And another kind of quote that kind of rubbed me the wrong way was, all content we ever put out for Fallout 76, all the DLC, all the post-launch stuff is going to be free. That's important. And to say the atomic shot is cosmetic stuff, to make sure folks understand, look, there's a line. There are people who have crossed it, but we're going to stay on the right side of it in terms of the things you can spend money on and how this stuff works and what you're getting for your $60. Then that, you know, when they put out new content or features or whatever, I'm getting that stuff for free. That feels right. And I do agree. I do think that it is the right way to go with having a payment model where you're having cosmetic microtransactions support future development rather than DLC and season passes and expansions, especially ones that split the player base and the ones that are pay to win. So I'll agree there, but also they say something that kind of rubs me the wrong way, and it's that there's always a line with microtransactions, and they always try to stay on the right side of it, and they're never real bad people about that. But then I just want to bring up, like I said, the Creation Club, which is just kind of paid mods, and then you had the actual paid mods on Steam like I talked about. So it's just one of those things where, although I kind of agree with the way Fallout 76 is going, the route they're taking, having cosmetic microtransactions and not being in loot boxes and no pay-to-win content, no paid DLC, and just having the cosmetic microtransactions fund future development, although I agree with what they're doing, the way they kind of defend themselves and speak about themselves is a little ridiculous, and I wanted to bring up some of these things that they've done and just some of these arguments that kind of are a little ludicrous to me, and I see a lot of people falling for the whole trap of, oh, they care so much about me, I'm never going to have to feel inclined to spend money on the atom shop because they're going to give me so many atoms, and that's unfortunately just not the case. But I hope that Fallout 76 is a fun game. From what I've heard, it's a little mixed reviews, at least in the beta, so I hope, obviously I never wish a game to be bad, but I personally am not that optimistic for it, and on top of that, even if it's the best game ever, it's not really my game, but I will probably talk about it more in the future, so stay tuned for that. But if you enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more content. New videos come out every Wednesday and Sunday, and like always guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day.